State I was born in, Minnesota, is the land of 10,000 lakes. Indiana, I still have no idea what a Hoosier is, but you do you. Cities have nicknames too, like Chicago is Chi-Town or the Windy City. New York, the Big Apple.
Yeah.
Orlando, the Big Orange.
City.
Seattle is the Emerald City, and so on.
I mean, you have. I've never actually heard Orlando was the Big Orange. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. But yeah, New York, Big Apple, city that used to never sleep. Um, yeah, checks out.
Three, yes, the USA is a car country. It's part of our culture. See, the majority of our country was built post-industrial revolution, so many of our cities have easily navigable, straight grid-like road networks with accommodating wider roads, as opposed to the spider web of narrow medieval cobblestone alleys built for pedestrians. In the US, you can get your own license at age 16. For many of us, it's a rite of passage and bragging right in high school to show off your car, even if you're just borrowing mom's minivan. Four, we also kind of have an awkward situation with Guantanamo Bay, which is located in Cuba. It's kind of like this. I am the first president of Cuba. Now that we are independent from the US, I will offer you a perpetual lease to Guantanamo Bay.
Awesome. We'll pay you guys every year.
We are the new Cuba. We don't want you. Get out.
Hey, your old president agreed a perpetual lease to us until both countries agree or we abandon the property. We don't want to do that. We're going to stay here.
Well, yeah, revolution. We don't recognize that treaty.
Well, we do. Here's your lease check for the year. Thanks for doing business. I'll shake myself. We'll see you next year, okay? Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. At one point, the USA took administrative control over Cuba after the Spanish-American War, in addition to Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. Of course,
Yeah, so the Philippines was its largest colony and basically would remain one until the end of World War II, effectively. But obviously, yeah, Guam, and he said it right here, Guam and Puerto Rico had referendums. I almost said Philadelphia. The Philippines, not so much. And just the big figure in the Philippine independence movement was a man by the name of Emilio Aguinaldo. Excuse me, it's not Iguodala. That would have been funny.
The Philippines and Cuba gained their own independence, and the U.S. also used to control the Panama Canal Zone for about 70 years. It was like, all right, Panama, you're getting your independence from us. Me gusta! But I agreed to let the Americans have sovereignty over the Canal Zone because, you know, they're kind of building it.
What the? I mean, you want us to leave and take all of our money and you finish building it, or for now, no? Well, let's talk in 7 years. Okay, then.
Yeah. In addition, after World War II, we took administrative control over many of the islands in the Pacific that Japan used to control.
Which, fun fact, you can actually go to any of these places without either a passport or a visa if you're an American citizen. Palau, Micronesia, Marshall Islands, etc.
Micronesian island groups of Palau, the Marshall Islands, and the Federated States of Micronesia were labeled as U.S. trust territories until they gained independence in 1986. Today, they are the only countries that have the Compact of Free Association status, meaning the U.S. provides defense, financial assistance, and social services to the countries, whereas the citizens are allowed to move, live, and work in the U.S. and easily obtain citizenship if they desire, and in return, they allow the U.S. to have military bases. In any case, every section of the United States has...
Oh, so it's the other way around. I always thought it was two ways. I don't know why. Excuse me.
Unique story on how it eventually became part of the country. It basically goes like this. For example, the USA started as 13 British colonies that pretty much operated everything east of the Mississippi River. At one point, everything up to what is now Minnesota was just called Virginia. In 1803, we obtained the Louisiana Purchase from France, which didn't even have a properly defined western border. It just kind of arbitrarily ended at the Rockies. This doubled the size of the country, and a bunch of Acadian French-speaking criminals from Canada suddenly became Americans.
And that is where we got the New Orleans from.
19, we expanded to the Pacific for the first time and had a shared condominium with the British in Oregon Territory. 2 years later, Florida was ceded to us from Spain in a treaty in which we said that we would cede any claims to Texas. Well, long story, incredible.
I'm laughing because that didn't last long. Then again, this is America we're talking about. This is specifically antebellum America. We're talking about fighting was got to end these people's blood, if you know what I'm saying.
Incredibly short, the Texans in Texas kind of fought Mexico and became their own country for 10 years and then decided to cede their country back to the USA. In 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ended the Mexican-American War, and the Alta California area was ceded to the USA. And after some quick borderline readjustments, states popping up, the continuous USA was complete. The Guano Islands Act started in the 1850s, got us to claim a bunch of random small islands in the Pacific and the Caribbean. The war split us up for about 10 years, but then we reunited. Meanwhile, Alaska was purchased by Russia. 1898, Hawaii was annexed from the Kingdom of Hawaii. 1 year later, after the Spanish-American War, a bunch of new islands joined, but only Puerto Rico and Guam would stay as territories. 1 year later, Samoa was taken over under the Tripartite Convention. Later, only what is now American Samoa would vote to remain. And finally, in 1917, we bought the Virgin Islands from Denmark. Yeah, almost every American has played the Oregon Trail in school and has died of dysentery. Just want to give a huge thanks to Bright Trip for making that animation. You guys are awesome. Check out their website. They got some cool stuff. We tried to buy Greenland like 3 times and they kept saying no, but like, come on, Greenland. Come on. On that note, you can kind of tell the story behind places in the USA based off the language the name comes from. For example, many places in the middle of the USA that used to be part of the Louisiana Purchase have French names like Lafayette, Des Moines, or Des Moines. Hell, the entirety of Louisiana was named after King Louis the 16th, 14th, whatever, not French anymore. Places that used to belong to
14.
Spain and later Mexico have Spanish names like Puerto Rico, San Diego, and yes, even the city I live in, Los Angeles, Los Angeles. Otherwise, many cities and half of all the states are named after Native American words and 4 anglicized versions of Native American words. Kentucky, Ohio, Oklahoma. The city of Chicago means of Native American words.
Oaxaca.
Kentucky, Ohio, Oklahoma. The city of Chicago means wild onion in the Miami, Illinois tribe language. In any case,
And fun fact, that's why there's a Miami University in Ohio.
basically, our country was born out of revolution. Long story short, we were a colony of Great Britain, not UK yet, but Great Britain, for about 170 years until King George III came in and went back to crazy. Or at least
Wait, is this a King George the second?
170
Oh no, the third.
King
It's
George
my
III came in
computer.
and-
Okay, that was funny. Not even gonna lie. Like, there's a smudge on my computer that made me think that last Roman numeral was an exclamation point,
You ungrateful colonial. We declared independence.
which is basically exactly what King George III said. Well, he didn't see. Well, I mean, that's not exactly how it went. I mean, there was a whole war, but
In 1776, which, by the way, thank you, Morocco, for being the first country in the world to recognize us as a nation in 1777. Hey,
that's a pretty cool fact, and I'm surprised they don't teach more in school.
I beat them to it in 1776.
Hey, you don't get to speak for me as a nation as a whole. You will recognize them when I say so. Okay, now you can recognize them.
However, the fighting went on for 7 more years until the Treaty of Paris was signed, in which Britain officially recognized us as a nation. Meanwhile, Canada just up north was like,
Now I'm Daddy's favorite.
but then like 80 years later, it was like,
I'm still Dad's favorite.
In any case, with the exception of a few other political entities, up until
It's weird to think about, but like 80 years, like if you're a country that's 80 years old, well, Canada isn't obviously, but if you're a country that's